So please welcome with me Bimbola Ogundare. Is that the way you are going to clap? Keep the clap coming now.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. David, and good afternoon, everyone. What an amazing room, Olayinka, thank you for inviting me, When Olayinka calls, you answer. That's the strength of relationships and social capital that you can always draw on. Olayinka and I were in the trenches together a few years ago, and we built a very strong relationship. And just from working with her, I know that when she says she's going to do something, she does it excellently. So it's amazing to see all the lovely faces in here. And I've also met a lot of great speakers, and I've learned so much in the past 2 hours. So very excited to be here, be learning, connecting, energizing, achieving, and networking. Okay. I'm here to talk to you about honing your public speaking skills. I'm a connector. So if you say, what sort of person are you? I'm great at connecting the dots. And anywhere I am, I think through what is the point of what we're doing? What's the purpose of everything that's happening here? And as the speakers went through each and every session, I was able to pick out what it means for me as I learn and as I lead, but also for everyone that sits here. There's something that I heard a few years ago, and very simply, it says, if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. Yeah? So if you profile yourself in this room, you're either at the table or on the menu. Now, everyone in the career, on the career path, starts on the menu. And on the menu, it's decided whether your recipe is great enough to patent, or we just need to, chuck you out and move on with the people that are bringing value to the organization. In staying on the menu, staying relevant, and transcending to the table, you will have to, as Bukumi mentioned, be so excellent at what you do that you are recognized. Yeah? And when you do that, as Odiri said, you will have to grow relationships in a way that you are building social capital as you are building technical skill. Yeah? And Olayinka had spoken about famous failures. So all of us here have failure stories. The thing is, what do you do with your failure stories? Do they metamorphosize into success, or do you just stay by the wayside and join the pity party? Right? And if you bring all of that together, when you do get to the point where you are at the table or on your way to the table, you have to be able to advocate for yourself. How do you advocate for yourself? Open your mouth and speak. Yeah? And when you do, it needs to be memorable. It needs to be that you present yourself in the best possible light and you're able to deliver your value proposition convincingly. Okay. If I think very simply about the ways that you can hone your public speaking, there are 3 things you should think about. So if you think of a framework, there is the visual bit of it. So what are people seeing as I talk? There is the auditory part of it. What are people hearing? And then there is the content. What exactly is coming across? We'll talk about all of these. So let me take a step back and I think the clean colors are so vibrant that I thought to myself, when we had put the slides together, at first it was the usual Deloitte green. And then I thought to myself, no, these colors are so vibrant that this is an opportunity to put in something that I think, or I hope that the audience takes out. I hope that at the end of this conference, it's a flowering for us. And so you'll see that across the slides. By the way, this is also something that you should be comfortable with, the value of a pause. when you're speaking. You see, when we get uncomfortable with what we're saying, or there's technology happens, as it often does, we launch into a speech, we talk about different things, you think, okay, where am I in this presentation? Let me quickly say something intelligent, and then you end up filling with ums and ahs, what we call filler words. Now, filler words, what they do is they take away from your content. They take away from the audio visual part of what you're saying, because as you're putting in filler words, you're speaking, my name is Bimbola, I went to school at so place. However, let's look at it this way. It takes away from the value of what you're saying. So instead of filler words, one thing you can do is get comfortable with the pause. Yeah? The pause is something that allows you to introspect, it allows you to re-navigate, it allows you to collect yourself, and everybody understands that you're not trying to come across as what you are not. Something else is being authentic. Whatever happens, people can smell inauthenticity. But whatever happens, if you stay authentic, then you keep your self-respect and the value of whatever it is that people think you are bringing to them. So if two things stay, as we wait for technology to catch up, let it be stay authentic and be comfortable with pauses. Yeah? Okay.
The first one, technical skills. Second area that's important, communication skills. If you are technically brilliant, so you're 10 out of 10 technically brilliant. However, if your ability to communicate is a 3 out of 10, do you think people perceive you to be a 10 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10? We are only as good as we can communicate. This is a human skill. As you improve your ability to communicate, you improve the impact that you have within your teams, you improve the impact that you can have in your personal lives. I've taught this to thousands of students, and I always see the same thing. Technically brilliant individuals not being recognized for how amazing they truly are. And it's simply because they keep telling others that, oh, I'll let my work speak for itself. Why not do both? Why not do both? We live in a society of this or that. It's not or, it's and. It's both. When you become undeniably great technically and you become undeniable with your communication skills, do you know what happens? Reality becomes negotiable. You can negotiate any reality you desire.
Great. So if you take anything out of that, let it be that you can negotiate your reality. Yeah? It's not an or life, it's an and life. What else can I do in addition to what I'm doing? So your technical skill, Odiri mentioned, at a point in time, your technical skill will be given. It's going to be the bedrock. You're going to be in a place where everybody is a peer and everybody is great at what they do. Now, the difference is who is visible, who is communicating, who is able to, at certain levels, you have to be able to communicate the vision of the company in order to lead it. That's something that, when you're on the shop floor, it's all well and good to deliver the objectives. But it comes to a point in your career when you then have to inspire others to deliver those objectives. How are you going to do that? There's only one of you. You can't be the one doing everything. So you have to get to a point where you're able to inspire people to do it for you. There's shop floor, then there's management, where you lead people to do it, and then there's leadership, where you start to inspire people to do it. People want to do it, right? And if you're not able to communicate in a way that is compelling, then you find that in that pyramid of career building, you find yourself stuck in the middle. There are very few people that get to the top where they are then able to inspire what needs to happen for the rest of the crew. Yeah? Okay. Are we going to do the Mentimeter or should we just go on? Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. So because of technical issues, I'm going to be asking the questions. So we have a few questions that are designed to make us think and make us have an idea on what the statistics of public speaking currently is in the world today. So first question, the optimal presentation length to keep an audience engaged is what? I'll give options. 15 minutes, 18 minutes, 22 minutes, 25 minutes. Okay, yeah. So it's a rule of thumb, actually, that the limit of a presentation should be within the range of 15 to 25 minutes. So say fall in between 18 minutes for you to keep your audience engaged. Right. Now the next question. Being an effective public speaker results in what percentage increase in any potential? So I'll give a range: 40%, 20%, 50%, 90%. Okay. I hear 50. I hear 50. Okay.
Earnings potential.
Yes. So let me take it again. Being an effective public speaker results in what percentage increase in any potential? I hear 50%. 90%. I'm getting all my options back. Any other takers? Sorry? No limits. Oh, nice. Okay. So according to Warren Buffett, the one skill, which is public speaking, that increases someone's value or a human's value is public speaking, and it increases your value by 50%. Wow. So yes, I will yield the floor now to Bimbola. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chineye. Thank you. So we'll go into the rest of it, which is just us talking and sharing. Yeah? So, maybe I have the clicker here, don't I? Public speaking is really, all speaking is public speaking, right? Yeah. Whether it's one person or 1,000 people. I'll talk about a few elements and why we should pay attention to them. The first one is audience analysis. So, you want to know who you're speaking to and what interests them. As the other speakers, were engaging everyone, and especially as Dr. Davids engages people, you can tell that, she's on top of the nuances of Gen Z. I know a lot of people will say we're not Gen Z here, but it's important to understand the demography that you're speaking with so that you can connect effectively. If we were speaking to, baby boomers, and we wanted to start this conference, there are certain songs that can be an emotional trigger to say, this is the start of a conference, and then you get into the conversation. So being able to profile your audience means that you can connect with them in a way that is meaningful and tangible. There's a way you can give things that they are not received. Profiling your audience properly means that what you are giving is what is received. Yeah? Speech content. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to, you don't want to, if it's your friend that says, hey, I'm getting married, you're the best man, and I want you to give the toast. That's not the time to launch into a 30-minute conversation around what you guys did in university and how close you are. This is his wedding. You have to think around, for this speech, what's going to be tangible? This is family and friends coming to celebrate these guys. What can I share that will be meaningful? Delivery style. So there are lots of different delivery styles. My style is conversational. You know what that does? It assumes that we are all intelligent in this room. It puts us all on the same level where we're discussing among friends or among colleagues, as you may say. I've been with people whose delivery style is facultative, where you feel like it's the lecturer or a teacher that's speaking to you and you're a student. What does that do? It puts a divide right up front, saying, I know this and you don't, and I'm going to teach you. So you need to pay attention to your delivery style, because in that way you can create a bridge or you can break a bridge. Yeah? And then visual aids. Visual aids are super important. It helps you convey what you want people to think as they listen to you. Okay? So in developing your public speaking skills, there are a few things you need to do. The very first one is identify strengths and weaknesses. There's a simple test that you can do if you want to do a situation analysis. Take out your phone, Decide any random topic you want to speak about and record yourself. 5 minutes. Do a 5-minute recording of yourself. Now that's not all. Keep that recording. Now go back to the recording and watch the recording without any sound. In that way, you're able to audit your gesticulation, the way that you engage visually with people. Yeah? That's different from how you sound. How you sound is one way, but how you engage and how you connect with the crowd is a different thing entirely. So you want to audit that separately and take some cues from that. We'll talk a little bit further about what to pay attention to with your engagement. And then the other one is put the phone down, upside down, and listen to yourself, but don't watch yourself. How do you sound? What is your vocal range? What is being communicated as you speak when people cannot see you? That is the value of what they hear. Imagine everybody here had their eyes closed. Would the message that you're passing across still come fully, or would it be hampered? Now, if you take a look at those three, the third one is the actual content of what you're communicating. So if you just listen for content and not pitch, not vocal range, nothing, is what you're saying actually interesting? You see, you can decide, I'm still young in my career, I'm just going to sit it out, I'm just going to learn, I'm just going to coast, and then time and chance happens and you're not ready. If it happens, you're not ready, you may have to wait another 5 years for that same alignment of time and chance to give you the opportunity to step on your platform. So what are you doing today so that you're ready when that opportunity comes? Yeah? And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about how you come across visually. So a few things. They always say dress how you want to be addressed. When you go to work, in your place of work, it's a place for you to own your space and be comfortable. There are some mornings when you wake up and you say, I'm really not feeling myself today. And then you just throw something on and go to work, and then that's the day that they say that the number 3 client of the firm is coming, and your boss draws you into a meeting. And then you have to struggle with your self-confidence in that meeting, right? But you're not at your best. A very easy way to be at your best is every weekend. Just make sure, you're a guy, just make sure you have 5 clean shirts. You have 5 clean pants. And you can throw on, I don't know how many jackets you can cycle through, right? But it's the same thing with women. Let it be that at no point in time are you caught with your laundry down. That's a very easy way to make sure that you're not caught on fresh. Because that's foundational, right? That's a low-hanging fruit. That's something that you shouldn't even need to think about. But not being organized can take a lot out of you. And we talked about time and chance. You don't know when it will be, right? So make sure that you always show up in a way that you're comfortable. It doesn't have to be that you show up as the best version of yourself every day, but let it be that at least you're comfortable any day that you show up. Now, there's something else we can talk about, overcoming stage fright, because 75% of adults have a fear of public speaking. Now, if you think about it, what is it that you're afraid of? The people that you're talking to, they're people like you. Everybody here has shared their failures. So what's the failure that you're going through that perhaps we haven't seen or gone through or know somebody that has gone through? It used to be that I used to look at certain people at a point in time and be like, oh my God, if I could just get here, if I could just get to that person's level. But my mom told me something a long time ago. She said, if everyone brings their problems and we all throw it into the center of the room, when you see some people's problems, you run and quickly take your own problem back. Before somebody takes your problem and leaves their own for you to pick. Yeah? So if you look at life and living as a situation where everybody is on a journey, and I believe personally that God is a fair God. Even the richest person has he may want to experience the simple joys that the poorest person takes for granted. And the poorest person wants to experience some of the luxuries that the richest person has. But over and above, there will be places where you are better than some people, and there will be places where people are better than you. If you average all of us out, if you average everybody out, there are very few outliers. So if you look at everyone that way, yes, it's aspirational, you want to be a certain way, you want to, aspire, but on that journey, let it be that you are measuring yourself against your better self and not somebody else. If you look at things that way, then what really are you afraid of when you talk to people? You'll be surprised that so many people have imposter syndrome. So many senior people have that thing called imposter syndrome. And it is that you feel like you're just not good enough. And a lot of people, I'll give you a very funny statistic. A lot of people that keep studying is because they're trying to fill something. They're trying to fill a gap that then, arms, and I won't say them, us, that then arms us to say we know enough. We're able to share. We have the experience to come up and talk to others, right? So if everybody is aspiring and everybody is, looking to be better and looking to fortify their body of knowledge, then it means we're all on a journey. And if we're all on a journey, then who are we afraid of? Very simply, yeah? So if you understand the root cause of stage fright and your anxiety, and you're able to just take a step back and think, if we're all on this journey anyway, and give or take, everybody is on the way to something better, then perhaps speaking to everybody is not really a big deal. Using gestures effectively. So the power of eye contact as well. As you speak more, you're able to connect with certain people in the room. And connecting with certain people in the room gives you the bandwidth to then understand your audience. As you connect, you'll see that certain people are really into what you're saying. Other people are perhaps looking away, distracted, doing other things. If you assess the room and everybody is on the phone when you're speaking, then you still have some work to do. Don't take it personal. Go back, do the work, continue showing up in rooms until you're able to gauge a high level of interest as you speak. Then you know that you're making progress. So the power of eye contact is not just in keeping you grounded with the audience, it's in helping you assess how well you're doing as you engage people. Yeah? Conveying confidence through posture. Maybe I'll just take that one. There's a difference between someone that comes at you and is slouchy and is just not, there's a difference between coming at you like this and coming at you like this. If you keep that at the back of your mind as you engage people, even if you are sitting across the room from someone in an interview, there's a difference between sitting forward and slouching backwards. Yeah? There's a difference between open hands and crossed hands. This gives us the vibe that you have something to hide, or you're just not open enough. And in an interview, interviewers pick up those cues. Yeah? So pay attention to body gestures. And it also helps you project. If you feel like you're free, it helps you project your voice better. It helps you connect better. Okay. This is self-explanatory. I will take one thing around vocal range. There's the concept of your natural voice and your habitual voice. Most people think, this is not my natural voice. This is my habitual voice. Your natural voice went away when you were 2-3 years old. That was the voice that you were born with. That was the voice that you learned your language with and communicated with the very first time, or the very first few years. Every other voice from age 3 is actually an accumulation of all the people around you that you listen to, that you hear, that you talk to, that you interact with. You are the sum total average of all those people. Yes. And that's your habitual voice. That's what you end up with. Now, if you want to change your habitual voice, you need to be intentional about it. If you do that exercise that I talked about, and then you listen to the auditory part of you, and you're not comfortable with how you sound, if it's just a vocal range thing, right? You can be intentional about listening to podcasts. Yeah? If you're around a flatmate that is constantly speaking broken English, you probably need to put a new rule in the house. If you speak a local dialect that is heavy on breathing, I'll give you an example. I can't speak Igbo, but my sisters-in-law are Igbo. And when they talk, it's very easy to get breathless. Why? Because the language pulls a lot at every breath that you take. There are a lot of consonants. There's a lot of engagement in the language. If you're with someone who speaks Hausa, Hausa is more fluid. It's easier on the breath. So as you release, I can't speak it, but I can probably sing it, you know? As you release the breath, it's easier, and you're able to say more over a longer period of time without being breathless. So if you pay attention to the way that you speak English, you'll find that your local dialect has an effect on how you release words in English. So pay attention to taking deeper breaths as you speak, and as you release that, then your voice actually sounds better. You are less breathless, meaning that as you take in more oxygen as you speak, you are more grounded and you are less nervous. Yeah? So some of these things, as you pay attention to, you'll find some of it is an art, some of it is a science. But overall, practice. Find opportunities to stand in front of people. It could be your friends, it could be your family. Let it more often be your colleagues. That gives you a little bit of challenge. And then your bosses and superiors. At that point in time, you're putting yourself under pressure, and you're giving yourself the opportunity to practice everything that you've been learning. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so I think this is the last slide, or the last, second to the last. And I'll just take this very briefly. Strategies for responding to tough questions. You know, there's something about when you speak, you then say, oh my God, let me just finish, and then let me go and sit down, let them not ask any questions. If you're faced with tough questions, pause and reflect on the motivation behind the inquiry. So a lot of people ask questions. Have you been in meetings where they've asked you a question and you know that that person just wants to throw something at you to take you off guard? Yeah? Refuse to be emotional. If you decipher the motivation behind a question, take a deep breath first. You can make it conversational and say, well, that's quite an interesting question. If we think about it together, two things have to hold true, and then you can start to attempt to answer the question. If it's a question that you're not very sure of, my go-to is, I'm not an expert in this field, but these are my thoughts. And then I can give you a personal perspective of what I think around what you asked. Remember we talked about being authentic at the beginning. People can smell inauthenticity a mile away. You don't want to ruin a great speech, a great conversation by ending it with an iota of being inauthentic. Yeah? And, you know, be direct, be honest. If it draws from your knowledge and experience, storytelling is always powerful. If you're able to connect to a story that is meaningful. I mean, I had a boss that used to, every question would result in a story, but he's memorable, right? Because I remember the answer to everything that I ever asked him. It was always told with a story. You had to, when you go and engage him, you pull up a seat. You pull up a seat. But he always found, and that in itself to me, it was the gift of time, because it's not everybody that can give you the time of day to sit down and discuss, especially senior people. So as Odiri said, if you find that your boss doesn't engage you, doesn't sit with you, doesn't pay you attention, it's in your interest to go back and say, what do I need to do differently? And part of that is being able to engage in a compelling way, in an authentic way. That may be, boss, I really need to grow my career, and I don't feel like I get enough face time with you. What do I need to be doing differently? When you're not sure, ask open-ended questions. That's another thing about communication. When you ask closed-ended questions, you get very brief answers that may not help you. But open-ended questions always lead to one thing, another thing, and hopefully you get answers to what you're looking for. I guess the last one is, how can you enhance your delivery? If you're able, Odiri doesn't use PowerPoint, but if you have anything that can enhance what you're saying as you speak, please use it. One thing that's always, when you do client presentations or customer presentations, my team knows me, I always say, please make it visually appealing. I don't want to see huge blocks of text where, we then start looking for what you're saying in a large presentation, make it as visual as possible. But also, one last thing that I'll share with us as we grow within our career is, in all of this, there's one thing that you need to keep building. It's your confidence. How do you build your confidence? By doing the work. There's no shortcut around it. There's no shortcut around it. Keep doing the work. Keep putting in your best. It's not going to feel that way all the time. There will be times when you just want to take a break. If you want to take a break. But come back refreshed. Put your all into it. You can decide to coast over 10 years, or you can put in your purpose, your passion, and shorten your journey to 3 or 4 years. Yeah? Thank you.